Hello everyone and welcome to another Jagged Alliance free DevStream here from the Hemimon Games Studios studio in Sofia, Bulgaria. We have a great show for you tonight. Today we have Reni aka Fate here, who is our lead level designer, and she's going to take you on a wild ride through a lot of our tools for map making, which will come in handy when 1.50 launches with the extended map and campaign editing tools, which is in the future. So stay tuned and, keep on the lookout for our future developments. Physics Cat, thank you very much for the approval of my approach towards the boss to stamp them out with great wrath. I already did that, and we'll continue to do that so that we can keep this chat nice and civil without any spam. So, before we jump into our conversation tonight, let's wrap up on what happened last week. We have a great piece of news for you that, or at least for us, that Jagged Alliance Free has a overwhelmingly positive score on recent reviews in Steam, which is great acknowledgement by the players for the studio, everyone who helped out in the development of the game. We really thank you guys. We thank all the fan base and the modding community as well, because this is something which really humbled us and made us really, really happy. And Bojana is smiling behind the camera right there because of this news. All right, so last week we also talked with our CTO Ivana Sen, who took us behind the scenes, and we started out on the base level with our engine, what's it built on, what are the advantages and what are its possibilities, and what we can improve and what the modders can rely on when they actually get the full stamp of tools to be able to play around with Jagged Alliance. We also know that we have some returning modders from even surviving Mars days that know our engine and like to play around with the new titles that we release. So I really hope that they find really great things to do in this title.
Good luck.
Yes. And we also even managed to geek out a bit on Ivana Sen's pet peeve, which is graphics and what he anticipates the future of the industry is going in that terms. But today we're going to switch into a different topic. And also, after our conversation, Pavel and Dinko will return with Curse Builds episode 3, because they didn't manage to show you everything last week, but they have a bunch of save games and a bunch of things they want to show you tonight. So after we finish up with Fate here, you're going to hear from them as well. As always, follow us on all of the relevant media that we have, whether it's in the Discord server, whether it's on Twitter, Facebook. We upload all of our conversations on our YouTube channel. We are a bit behind on the devs plays because we can't manage to edit them, but they are in the to-dos and they will be done soon and you will be able to see them. And also, yes, unsavable games. Unsavable games. Send us your unsavable games so that we can help you out with that, either in the community or someone here in the studio like Pavel G, who is heading our curse builds at this point. I think he just got promoted to that really unflattering position. So yeah, you want to jump in? All right. All right. So let's take a step back before we jump into the editors and the actual maps of Jagged Alliance. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. Your actual name is not Faith, so let's start there.
This is a really old nickname. Let's say 20 years ago, 24 years ago.
20
maybe.
Is enough.
Yeah. Actually, better not to say how much exactly, to be honest. This is when I started to play Dota with my friends back then. I was actually hiding that I'm a girl, but people just didn't get that name. Anyway, Doesn't matter the nickname. It's very, very odd. I kind of even don't remember why exactly I have chosen it. I think it was because of some character, of some movie or TV show,
Probably.
or anime. Or
But you're not the only person in the company who actually has their handle in Slack and email and all of the channels with their actual nickname and not a real name. So we have a very nonchalant culture here. So, yes.
Yeah, actually, this is pretty interesting. Many people in our company have nicknames, and some of our colleagues don't know the real names of other colleagues because they constantly use the nicknames. But mine is not.
In their defense,
this
there
situation.
are free people who have the same first name and same last name, which is the extreme. Not like Pavel and Pavlin, but actually first name, second name just outright fits. So we have those situations.
Anyway, yeah.
So when did you join the company and how did you get into
I
this?
work in the company since almost 12 years. Oh my god, that time passes really fast, especially when you like the things you do.
You haven't said that, verbalized it in a while.
Yeah. It took me time to calculate this and all. Oh my god, past 12 years. Anyway, actually, I have bachelor degree on industrial design. I'm engineer designer, basically. I used to make machines and stuff like so. Then I have master's degree of illustration. But let's say my passion remained in gaming. So I just decided I want to do something with gaming. So, in gaming, why not concept art? So actually, my first job was in another studio for mobile games, though. I was concept artist there, but to be honest, it was not my thing. In the meantime, I met a guy who was working actually already at Hemimon Games, and he just told me, hey, we're looking for level designers. Why don't you go and try and do the test and see how it is for you? And I was like, what's this level design? What is this? I didn't have any idea what this is actually.
But it sounded interesting.
Yeah, to be honest, yeah. So actually, funny thing, after I did the interview and I did, let's say, I think the test was 2 or 3 hours back then, and I went out from the studio and I was like, this is exactly what I'm going to work. This is amazing. Well, sadly, during that point, I was not taken because I was absolutely without any experience. So it was understandable, of course. But the moment our CTO wrote to me 2 months after, I was like, yes.
You haven't looked back since?
No. So yeah, actually since that time I'm working in Hemimont. This is around 5 or 6 games published. Me like a level designer.
Yeah.
Lead, I think I'm lead since 6 years maybe. Victor one time, let's say.
All right.
To one time, which is...
So 4 titles ago? Something like that.
Yeah, I was actually responsible for the Victor 1 expansion.
All right.
After that, everything else is my responsibility. So, guys, if you don't like anything for our older games, also Jagged Alliance, which is connected with the level design, me to blame. Sorry, I was learning. Anyway.
We're always learning.
Yeah, actually we do. Also, specifically, by the way, Jagged Alliance was a really, really, really long project. I think this was the longest project we made in general.
I think so, yes.
So actually the level design here went to very, very big changes. I mean, we made very, very new stuff, many tools, thanks to our coders, Ivan Sen, and not only him, of course, which basically helped us to make maps which are, let's say, 17 square kilometers. I made that calculation roughly, let's say. It's not exactly like this, maybe a bit more. And these are 162 maps, which are basically made by hand. I just want to warn some of the guys, since I know some of the models were thinking how they will take the map edge and they will just make new maps only using the map edges. Sorry, guys. You see why this won't work actually, because...
We'll show you a little bit.
Yeah, there are many rules actually to make a working map, basically, and not only working because of gameplay and mechanics, but also to look good and stuff like so, to have, let's say, good cover balance and good, let's say, good story behind it and everything else. There are many rules which you actually need to keep and to do in order to have a really good working map in general. So
and since we're starting with disclaimers, I know that a lot of people, especially the people who already have experience with our engine, already unpacked the actual game and have access to some of the editors. This is awesome. When you're starting to do some mods in that context, have in mind that they probably will break when we ship the actual real modding tools.
Yeah.
So that's something that you need to have in mind, because we do try to make a lot of the editors more user-friendly, you can say, not ship everything that's needed and unneeded at the same time, because as Ivana Sen shared, there is stuff that can be applicable to some projects and not applicable to other projects. So we're trying to get that as neat as possible for 1.50. So yeah, have that in mind. And since we already started with Jagged Alliance Free, I know that in the beginning there was a proof of concept map?
Well, yeah, the proof of concept map was really small map, let's say maybe, I don't know.
Ernie?
No, it was more before.
I mean, Ernie Island?
No, it was before Ernie. It was very small map. Literally 5 trees, small building, let's say a small
fuel
trap.
generator.
Huh?
A fuel generator.
Actually, the fuel generator is the first asset, one of the first assets in general.
I know there's also a head and the M16A1.
Yes, and one jungle tree, and some rocks. This is it. Basically, this was it. So yeah, actually, we started with a proof of concept, which was, let's say, decision was made, as Ivana said before. Too many S's, sorry. That actually we wanted at the beginning to stick on the grids, because basically it's also hard for the people, let's say, to know, okay, is here a cover, which square is free, which is not free and stuff like so. Can I step there? Can I hide there? And we started with the gritty thing, let's say. We passed proof of concept, we start making maps. The first maps are actually on early islands. Okay, I will speak slower. And yeah, Ernie and the Rust Jungle plus Flag Hill are actually the first 3 maps which we started. Problem basically was that at Ernie and in the jungle we actually find out that the game doesn't look good at all. I mean, it's literally gritty.
She's being modest, it was ugly.
Yeah, it was really ugly, to be honest. Specifically, Ernie was really hard because actually this was urban map.
Yeah.
Many buildings, and because if you make a jungle, it's a bit more easier, let's say, to make it look more natural, more far from the gritty look. But when you have buildings, it's pretty much hard to do it. To do it in the same time, to look good, to work, to have, let's say, good covers, and when you see a place, you know, I can hide there. Or I can pass through here on stuff like so. And basically, Ernie got like around 5 or 10 changes of the whole map, including the layout also, just because of that. And also after that, around 10 changes during other changes. For example, we added the biomes, we added other styles, other color combinations and stuff like so, which I will tell a bit more about it later.
Yeah.
And at some point we just released basically all our objects were snapping on the grid. We just released them and we started to actually put them freely by hand. But we used many, I think, let's say 2, 3, depending on the situation, 2, 3 overlays, which we constantly use in order to place every single object properly.
Yeah. We'll go over all of those in a second. We have a huge list of things that we want to share in terms of actual details, and we'll go into the builds in a second and show you that. But before that, I remember when we were still defining the maps, and after Nelson define the biomes and what's characteristic on each biome, there was like, okay, so we need to do 150 more maps. And you were like, oh yeah, we can do that in time. And I was like, because I'm a producer, and I go in the spreadsheet and go like, are you sure? They're like, yeah, that's not a problem. I was like, okay. And then they were probably the first to finish up on their on their work. I was impressed.
This was actually, I was not sure either till the last moment.
Well, you played it very cool.
I had a huge list of every map basically, and constantly every week, let's say, following its status, which was absolutely hard thing to do, to be honest, especially when you make a map, you have many steps in order to do them. First is the layout, then it's actually a colorization. When you actually place the layout, then you have the propping stage, which is literally placing every single small thing, like including rocks, flowers, cars, baby lamps, fences, whatever you can think of, freezes on the buildings, stains on the floor, everything you can think of. And all of those things actually are placed with, let's say, there are rules to place them. You can just grab something and just place it there. No, it's not working like that.
Oh, plus there's a situation where you probably place too much or some objects that are not really not optimized, but not really used optimally is the word that I'm looking for. And then you have, for instance, people like Ivana Sen coming in and saying like, hey, this can't go on. This should not go on. You can't place a rock, like 10% of a rock above the ground and then 90% of the rock below the ground. That's not efficient.
So let's say that way, guys, don't overscale things. Like the scaling in general, it's not our friend, first of all. And second of all, don't hide things under other things, because they still get calculated. And we end up with some places which we need to rework, and not only, by the way. The other actually problem is not only the performance. Imagine a map where you actually have the exact amount of covers everywhere.
Yeah.
This will be a very boring gameplay, basically. Walk, hide, shoot, walk, hide, shoot, and it would be
cover
easy.
Shooter.
Yeah, cover, shoot. Easy. No. This was not the point in general also. So, and the other problem was also that we had to actually think vertically also. Because this is the first game we make, which is... for which the vertical actually slice, the floors were actually very important for the gameplay. And it's not only about to make it beautiful and to make it look cool and alive with stories behind, but also to actually work good with the weapons, with the mechanics. And this is only also another very important thing when you make a map, basically. To think, where do the people pass? Where is the starting point of a map? Where they can pass to? Is that okay? Do they have enough covers? If they don't have enough covers, okay. Give them some advantage if they pass to that place which was more risky, let's say. Like, give them a tower so they can climb up and, let's say, shoot with bombs from afar and do nice headshots and stuff like so. Or they can get killed either, also. So. But those who risk, they win. So, but it's not always like this.
We have a question. Does it still exist, the initial Ernie map? It's probably somewhere in the versioning. If we find it, we'll do some screenshots and send them to you guys.
I have an old version, but it's an old version which is basically the same Ernie now, which you see, but in a different biome, by the way. This is the version which we have. But it's not that cool when you see it like this. It's better to really see the first one.
It's not... I don't think that's the goal here. It's just to contrast it where we started and where we're actually at. Lua, if you can scroll down, we can actually start and go a little bit more deeper into some of the things, because I told you we have a ton of things that we would like, to share with you guys. But let's go into the map editor and see more about the stuff that Ivana mentioned last week about all of the tools that are in the engine and the actual tools that the level designers used to make them, make the maps that are in the game, so that when you guys get a hold of this, you can have some, first of all, awareness. Second of all, some rules of thumb that we want to share about stuff that, as a framework, works or doesn't work, so that you can avoid them early on before you put hours of work into making a map. And of course, have have in mind some factors that are really important.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's look at it here.
So are you ready, guys? I am pressing the magical button, which is F3.
Lift the curtain, yeah. Some people of you have probably seen the editor that is behind the scenes of each map, but generally it's a lot of objects. We picked out this map because it's very active, you would say.
This is the heaviest map, let's say, in Jagged Lands. It has around 55,000, 55,000 objects. Basically, the city maps are like so. They're the heaviest maps. I saw actually a question here about the floors. It's not a problem to add a fourth floor. Problem is more likely after that the performance. So you guys, it's not about to adding four floors. It's about performance, and it's kind of useless actually to make something really, really high, just climb there and not be able to use it because it's too far actually from the enemies, which is also a very important thing to think of.
I think even Asen last week mentioned that you can build a skyscraper, but why would you? Like it wouldn't benefit gameplay.
Yeah, basically it wouldn't. Also, it will be very heavy, and especially with the potato machine, good luck. I mean, you just need to, let's say, use medium or even low settings, which is it won't be beautiful like this. And guys, we tried a lot to make them beautiful, so please try. Okay, anyway. So the first and most important thing, especially when you start to place objects, because this is actually how a map starts. You literally have an empty map which is only basically terrain, nothing more. First things you need to apply are first markers. First is the border marker. The border marker, you see it. Okay, grid marker, border area. This is the border marker. Here it's placed already, but basically you place that marker and you actually
limit the playable area.
Yeah, in the properties you open and decide the playable area. Also, after that you place the entrance markers, which are responsible for the spawning of the connection between the other sectors of the maps, and then the spawning also of the
fence locations.
No, the mercs.
Oh, the mercs.
Where you deploy the mercs. This is the place where you deploy the mercs, basically. And the third is the exit marker, which is actually the marker which is helping your mercs to get out of the map. So these are the three important markers which you always need on every map. Otherwise, that map won't work. I mean, this is actually the active area, which is set here. I will show here. This red line is basically if you see it, this is the active area actually. From here to the right, it's gone. I mean, you can reach that place. So this is the border, basically.
I remember that this is a very big conversation every time we start making a map, because what you see behind the line is just there to be able to look like not empty after the marker, which is basically not gameplay valuable, but it would really break the immersion if you just saw a marker and
exactly.
It ends.
I mean, or just a fog or stuff like so.
Yeah.
Also, other thing which may be interesting for you guys, actually maps, as you actually see even more from the map. It's like so, because actually during action mode, you see like this.
Yeah, or if you use photo mode.
Or you use photo mode and stuff like so. So actually the idea to build the whole map to the edge and even behind the edge to even work on the horizon is the idea was actually to be able to look something which is believable, which is really near to the actual world as possible as we can, of course, because it's not 100%. It's not possible.
Plus, I believe that when you actually start editing the maps, the engine itself will tell you that you're missing some really crucial things like the spawn markers, the edge marker, and stuff like that. The map won't actually work without it. So.
Yeah, will be also on the modding tool like this. So guys, make sure that you play such when you start a new map. I mean, when you start a new map.
There are some questions if you want to say. So, Physics Cat, what was the decision like here between blocking stairs that went up the building so the player wouldn't go there versus just not having the stairs? I think that we don't have stairs in a lot of places just so that we don't tease a player, but most buildings that are approachable, you can go.
Let's say that way. Usually when we add stairs are added there for a reason. First reason is, okay, you want a second, third floor, whatever, and you want to show the people that they can go further. If it's inside the map, it means, okay, you have to go up, or you can go up for some reason, and it's for gameplay. For example, I want to go on second floor here, for example, on this building, so I can shoot from above, I get high ground. Or the other option is, which is, let's say, they lead to entrance or exit of the map, basically. Because it's it's strange if you just go into a wall and just, it gets active and you go to another map. I mean, a bit. They just to be a bit more logical and to have, let's say, a bit more, to be more believable, let's say.
Yeah.
Because usually when you go somewhere, you need a door or stairs in order to go on another level.
I remember a very fun situation in the mansion that there's loot in that study, with the big desk. But during the combat, I actually threw a grenade that was in front of the door of that room. And the second floor collapsed, and there was not another way to get into that room. So in a way, I just screwed myself into not getting anything that was there.
Yeah, this is actually it took some time because specifically for the destruction, by the way, because let's say that way, when we start to work on a project, when we start to make the maps, we don't have all the mechanics. So basically, when the destruction was ready, actually many of the maps were ready. Now, okay, let's say not many, 20% of them. And in order to be sure, by the way, if those maps work properly, what we do. So you open a map, this map, let's say, is this one, and you say, okay, I'm not sure if I'm able to, let's say, if it will break properly, let's say. So we use a very magical shortcut, in which we used to start to break the whole building. Okay, I will be a bit slower, by the way.
Yeah, this machine is good, but it's not.
Yeah, I will do it slow, not to break anything. We still need the machine. So yeah, we broke basically all the maps. So we actually were sure, at least as much as we can, that things break properly. That they disappear properly, break properly, and stuff like so. And actually, every single of those details on this. I will explain that later. It looks scary. It's not that scary. Every detail.
Look scary.
It's not like so, especially when you hide it. So actually, every detail is connected to a slab because buildings are, let's say, separated into slabs. Every of those details is connected to the slabs. And actually, when the slab gets destroyed, this part of the wall gets destroyed. This piece also disappears.
Yeah.
Basically. So Let's continue a bit. Let's go back to the main stuff because.
So let's start at the beginning. You get a really empty map, and what happens then? You place the markers and everything. But what did you do? Because I know that we had concept art for it. I know that you have some prepared that we want to show.
So. Usually, there were different types of maps. For example, this one was one of the, let's say, core maps, heavy maps, which are very, very important for the story. So, basically, for example, I'm showing you, let's say, those are, as you can see, those are for different types of maps, mood boards, and what we are looking for. Depending on the biome, biomes have also colors. Let me see if I can. Okay, good. So, for example, as you can see, at some point, Nelson actually decided, okay, guys, let's add biomes, which will have very important, which will be important not also visually, but for the gameplay too. So, for example, this is the idea of the jungles. Basically, we have this type of colors. We want them to be very muddy, let's say foggy. Everything should be wet with those specific colors. So actually, we distinguish them from, for example, for the savanna, which is dry, which has warm colors and stuff like so. After that, when we decided actually for every map, we got
mood board, yeah.
Such type of mood board, what we are looking for, different types of buildings, which are also references for us. Because you can't make from scratch a world which is, let's say, believable if you don't use actually stuff from real life. Of course, they're not 100% accurate because you have gameplay and stuff like so, which are, let's say, important, and if they don't work, you have to change something in the level design. But basically, this is it. I mean, everything has a story behind it. It is like so because something is like so, because there is a reason. So we actually used, this is, for example, Pantagruel. This is Pantagruel, downtown and slums. Those are, for example, some of the buildings which gave us the idea how exactly should the buildings look in Pantagruel. This is also about the cities in general, about fountains, how are they placed, how is the square, the plaza in the middle, colonial buildings. This is also the carnival, how it had to look, what kind of assets should be prepared for those kind of stuff. And all of those stuff actually we used for our maps, also for, let's say, inspiration and stuff like so. And this is actually after that. So when we... first, we also have concept art of the map, let's say that way. It's not exactly the map sometimes. Sometimes it's just the feeling. I mean, here the colors, we see how it was, there was a party here, you can see, but also this building was, let's say, occupied, many sandbags and stuff like so.
Dead bodies.
Yeah, the actual map is not like so. I mean, this is actually how to play it. I mean, basically you don't have a place where you can pass to, so it's not working.
Yeah, we'll talk about passability in just a second.
Yeah, we'll show you about the possibility. But yeah, this is how the process starts actually for the maps and what we go to in order to make a map which will look believable, beautiful, with stories behind it and stuff like so. This is how it goes. I mean, lots of research, lots of ideas, references. This is, for example, the bar, the red dragon, which is not exactly the same, but let's say similar. This is the slums with the carnivals you see already. And after that, if you want, we can show, of course, the map. And yeah, this is actually how it goes, how it starts and how it goes with the ideas for the maps.
Love those visuals. There's a question in that people are discussing in chat about why the defense markers, like where you spawn, when you're defending from an attack, are placed the way they're placed. We're probably not the best people to say that. That's more in the Momchi department.
Yeah, this is
combat.
This is let's say connected with the combat. Basically, sadly, this is Momchi is the person who can answer you this. Sorry for that, but yeah.
But I guess that the answer will be something like we don't want to make it too easy.
Yeah.
Because if you can set up, overlapping fires from 5 different directions, it might be a little bit too easy.
Yeah, it would be the same if you, for example, place equal amount of covers everywhere. I mean, basically, it will be the same and boring place. That's the idea, to actually offer the people options to do differently and to, let's say, give them ways to do something different. Also.
But have no fear, the map editing tools will allow you to place more defense markers, be able to spawn your units
or remove
in specific
something
places.
which on existing maps is annoying you.
Yes.
You can absolutely, you're free to remove it. So.
We didn't mention the light models though, because light models are important. You need to place the actual map so that it fits into all of the situations, not all of the situations, but all of the light models that are applicable to that map. Whether that's for nighttime, for all of the, the whole day-night cycle that we have. They're different for different biomes, as far as I know. And
well, the most important things first for the light models are, if we exclude the visual part, which is very important, is first for night light models, which are for the stealth. It's super important actually when you make a map, and after that when you decide that you want to check it in the night to see actually where the maps are working or not working, when it's light, where it's dark and stuff like so. So actually you are able to see, okay, here someone passes it. Oh wait, sorry. Let's not work on the broken map already.
Did you reload it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it that a good idea? Oh, okay, it was.
It should be.
Yeah, it's
famous last words.
Yeah, this is the heaviest map. Maybe it was not the best maps to reload, but still. Anyway, it's very important actually. First for the, as I said, for the stealth, and the other thing also, there are different conditions. For example, the storm.
Yes.
Where it's also for the visibility in general during day also. Or for example, when it's there are mists also in the wet biomes and stuff like so, which are very important for the gameplay also. So specifically when you start a map, this you have to also keep in mind. But let's say that way, this is a bit more backwards. First and more important is actually how exactly you place the objects. So
what do you do when you place the
usually, when you want to place an object, first and important is, sorry guys, but you need the grid. So
immersion breaking.
Yeah, I mean let's say that way. We released the objects to be able to place them by hand freely, rotate them freely as we want, but still the problem continues. Okay, where is it possible? I mean, to where you can pass, or which place gives you cover or doesn't give you cover.
There was a cover overlay as well,
yeah,
right?
This is the grid, which I'm not sure if you have the same. They have the same shortcuts, right?
I think so.
So
it would be more work to make new shortcuts.
Yeah, I think you'll have the same shortcuts anyway. This is the ones I'm turning on now. This is actually the cover shortcut, which shows you this is the passable, let's say, square, a passable swap. This is actually, you have there is different covers. This is the low cover and high cover. Yeah, yeah. If you see, there are different types.
What is the green and the purple?
Directions on the map. East, north, south, west, because this is also important. Basically, when you start creating a map, usually when you start the map at the beginning, it always looks north. This is also important basically from when you connect the sectors between them, because you can't connect south with the north of the other map, or switch, let's say, or with the east.
Okay.
So yeah, this is also, you have to think about those stuff. Basically, in the beginning, when you place the border markers, you name them north, east, west, south. You can see where is the north of the map. You place them on the proper places, and then actually there is no problem with that. So basically, what I want to show is this, like, when you place an object and when this overlay is on, actually, as you can see, you move it, it gets regenerated again and again. But basically, as you see now, we don't have cover on the right side. So we want to move it a bit until we get the cover. This is one of the things we actually constantly were watching when we were placing every single object on the maps, because otherwise the covers won't work properly.
I remember a very funny situation. There was probably a mansion or a base. I don't remember exactly which map was it, but I was in combat. I was trying to shoot some enemies, and I was having visible line of sight on two of them, but the icons on the bottom, I actually had three. I was like, who am I seeing that I'm not really aware of? So I clicked on the third one, and it turned out that I could shoot through the wall into a guy that was behind huge concrete wall, and I was like, this is probably a bug, so I reported it. And then they researched it and got it. No, that's actually, there is a hole in that wall, but there's some lianas in front of it.
Yeah.
But you can actually shoot through it and shoot that guy that's in the courtyard from here. And I was like, oh. This is coming back to what Sam was talking about last week, that we actually simulate line of sight and line of fire, which is taxing on your machine, but it does help you with actually simulating real attack vectors, if you will.
Okay. Also, another thing. This is the collision, basically, which is actually important for calculating the cover, the sign of white, and stuff
Line
like
of sight.
that. People understood me. I'm sure. I'm sorry about this. Anyway, so this is one of the things. Actually, the collision in this on the map actually is distinguishing how exactly will be the covers here. So, guys, if you import new objects, be really careful what kind of collision they have. It has to be, let's say, pretty much as near as possible to the actual.
Oh, I also have
actual object.
flashbacks for this because trees are probably one of the more heavy assets in the game because of all of the foliage and the geometry there. And you finally finish up one of those assets and you export it to the engine, and all of a sudden you hear from our technical artist from Chefo, and he's like, "Where's the bounding box? Like, where's the collision of this? Like, where's that mesh? Show me that mesh." You're like,
they
on.
have collision. They have collision.
Yes,
Basically, they have collision.
They need to.
The other thing which is very important here is actually when you place anything. So we are talking now about covers, the other thing is actually the possibility. Control +9 is the possibility. The possibility grid is a bit more different than the other grid. As you can see there, there's 6 squares basically here of possibility. That's why it looks like this. So this is 1 square, this is 1 square, this is 1 square, this is 1. So basically
this was 1.2 on 1.2, and the actual insides was what, 1?
6. This is 60 centimeters.
60.
So every small, let's say, square of possibility is 60 centimeters, which are placed like this. Like, I don't know if I.
Yeah.
I hope people see that, because I'm showing otherwise to no one else.
They see the mouse, don't worry.
Okay, good.
The cursor.
Yeah, the cursor, because this is really important. Basically, there is an option that I move this here, like this.
And the possibility.
And the possibility gets blocked, and basically you can pass through here. So this was also very problematic, because players don't see this, and they will be like, okay, why can I pass through here? That's not fine. So that's why also those are the three stuff which are actually always
this approach actually allows us to have a mid-ground between a realistic game, but at the same time not have it fry your machine.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know, it's worth the trade-off, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, specifically, by the way, at my place, because we did this during COVID also, which means we were working even from home. And my machine at home is a really potato, so since it survived on high settings, it's fine.
Physics Cat has an interesting question. How do you choose the scale for the grid, the range in-game versus the real life? Yeah, the real life matters. I have an interesting story, but you go first.
Well, this is a bit connected with the proportions in general, also with the units. Units are basically a bit taller.
No, they use one skeleton, like you have male and female skeleton. That's for all units. That's why Steroid's not really twice as big as, let's say, Mouse.
No, I mean that actually they're not, let's say, they, I think, 2 meters tall. They were 2 meters tall.
I can't tell you exactly, but...
Yeah, I mean, basically, in order that everything looks, let's say, proportional, first we started with the buildings, and then actually we reworked also the units and everything else, because basically, if something looks a bit too small, like a toy in the game, it's not okay. So with 1.2 meters is on 1.2 meters wide and 70
Yeah.
centimeters tall, basically.
It
This
was-
started from the buildings, by the way, because those are the swaps. And when we start making the buildings, and then actually the doors, the windows and stuff like so, we actually first, let's say, needed to have everything proportional,
Yeah.
looking realistic.
And connecting to the actual realism of not only the buildings but the characters themselves. That was not fun when we had to do the motion capture, because we had some animators that felt like, oh no, you need to walk right and cycle the animation for 1.2 meters.
Yeah, actually,
And
and
you're
both of us are doing it, and let's say
That doesn't happen.
I'm short. I can't walk that much. I'm sorry.
Yes.
My legs are short.
Yeah.
Not possible.
Plus, everyone has different bone length, and their stride is different.
Exactly.
So that took some editing so that they fit. This is the animations that are after combat start, because before combat start, the things are much more simpler because they don't have to adhere to a grid. But afterwards, it should be easier, to be able to place those units in more fluid animations when they run, let's say, 2 or 3 or I don't know how many voxels. Plus, there's also jumping animations that you have limitations on how many voxels, like vertical voxels or slabs. I don't know if they're still voxels when they're vertical, but of slabs.
For us, it's the same.
Yeah,
so
they can climb
you
or
say,
drop
Google.
from, or I think the maximum is 2 voxels that they can jump. They can leap for.
Yes, but it depends. For example, later I will show. Actually, I turned on the overlay for jumping. If you see those small green lines, this is actually the direction to which you can jump.
Yeah, you can vault through those. Yeah.
Yeah. Control Shift and 9.
Mm-hmm.
As the shortcut, this is showing from where you can jump above it. But for example, those assets need to be at, let's say, exactly 70 centimeters tall, or around this, let's say this height.
That's probably because there's a hand animation. The units place their hand on those 70 centimeters exactly, so they can vault over the obstacle.
Was this map? I'm not sure.
I think yes.
The jumping map.
There are some test maps that are in the game. For instance, this is one where it's basically made for combat / traversal.
So actually, every line, every line here is showing on which direction you can jump.
Mm-hmm.
Those here are the all possibilities. You can jump, climb, go down, go up, and stuff like so. I mean, basically, if you, as you can see, if they're on same height, 2 swaps. You can jump 2 swaps also if you're 1 swap higher than the other floor, let's say, but you can't go back. So these maps people actually can see, so they will know all the options they have basically here on in the game. 4 swaps, let's say that way. 4 slaps are for climbing, jumping up and down.
Yep.
4 slaps height. 2 swaps is to jump over and jump back. Yeah, exactly, parkour. Those blue lines are actually showing, those are the tunnels which we use for the stairs. So this means a unit will
Climb
pass.
the stairs,
will climb those stairs basically, yes. And those, as you can see, are for jumping over them. But those you can jump over. It's really important, by the way, where the object is on the grid, in the grid, as you can see, and how tall it is and how it's placed exactly. As you can see, those are on the borders between slabs. This is exactly on 4 slabs, 2 slabs. Sorry.
2 slabs.
Yeah. So it really depends how tall the object is and how you placed it exactly on the map.
The engine is pretty forgiving in regards to performance intense assets, I feel. Well, let's not go overboard because it does have its limits, but we wanted to be able to make environments like the maps that you saw. Like, you have a lot of sometimes really fine details that are just placed in a way to tell a story. There are a lot of Easter eggs as well that we wanted to mention.
Many.
Just because the level designers really enjoyed placing them in the game.
Yeah.
But still, you shouldn't go overboard because at some point, it will become heavy for your machine.
For example, this is a simple, small filler jungle map, which is 8K objects basically. In those 8K, it's everything. I mean, there are markers, there are units, there are particles, everything you can think of. But for example, as I have said, for example, the cities they're really, really heavy. This one, Port Cacao, was I think around 55,000. This is heavy, and this map is very problematic. Basically, it was super hard for us together with Ivanos and not only to actually be able to make this map a bit less heavy, let's say. And we managed, but specifically on high settings, it's a heavy map. I mean,
45. Yes.
no, this is 45 if we turn off some, let's say, elements which are not gameplay, which are not inside the game, but still.
Oh yeah.
The actual number.
Would you say there are still some big Easter eggs that are not found? Well, we can't be sure what's found and what's not found.
I mean, 17 square kilometers, guys. It's a pretty big thing, to be honest. And I think not all of the Easter eggs were found. I think I saw someone telling how in the church of Leatown there was something under the church. Yes, this is a mistake. It's not an Easter egg because
sometimes that stuff happens.
Yeah, so my colleague who actually did this map, because every map belongs to someone, basically one person making only one map. I mean, this means lots of map per person. Anyway, he actually was joking. Oh, I hid there my treasure. No, it's under the map. Nobody can reach it. It's just for deleting. That's a mistake, basically.
Let's go into rules of thumb. Some things that you should know when you're making your own maps. Like we've figured most of these out the hard way, so that's maybe you can have a better time of it. I remember the first bunker that we did.
This is it.
It was a realistic bunker, like tight corridors, small rooms, and stuff like that. It was not good in terms of gameplay.
It was realistic actually. Specifically when you start to do something from scratch and you don't know what to do, basically you start from something which is in real life. So actually the first bunker was literally like a maze. And this means it was like corridors which were basically 2 swaps wide and rooms which are 4 or 5 slabs, let's say, per side, which is super, super small. Let me show. So example, imagine, so this is your room. I mean, literally you spawn your mercs and the room is full. So sadly this was not possible actually to make something from real life working in the game because the gameplay doesn't allow it. So basically there are few rules, especially when you do not only exterior but also interior maps, let's say like the bunker. Let's say the tightest place should be 2 slabs tight, basically like a corridor. Because if you make a corridor 2 slabs and you want to place some props like covers and stuff like so, it will get full. Yeah.
And if you have a larger squad...
Yeah, no gameplay. No, not only the squad, it's basically no gameplay there. I mean, literally like a tunnel. That's it. The other thing is, as I said, rooms smaller than 4 to 5 slabs, absolutely not. Also, as you can see, this is like this. Imagine, let's say, 4 mercs, that's it. Yeah. Few barrels, end of story. So that's why actually some of the stuff are not like in real life and extendable. Otherwise, the gameplay would suck if we have to be honest.
How about the cover placement? You mentioned that you always did pockets. What you call them?
I call them pockets. For example, if you look from a map from above, usually in real life, when you actually place furniture in the interior, basically you use all the space near the walls. But here it's not like so, just because actually it will be very, very boring gameplay if you, for example, I fill up all the maps here on this side of the wall, all the wall. So we left some places here where units can hide, just exactly I call them pockets, where actually can be also as covers. Otherwise, it would be, let's say, very straightforward game also. That's why if you actually pay attention, we don't have much of maps which are like tunnel-like. We have at least 2 exits everywhere, at least 2. If there is a place where you have 1 exit, it's just something, let's say, something cosmetic, like a small bathroom or toilet or let's say a cellar or stuff like so. But this is not for gameplay. This is meant there just to be a flavor, because this is also something very important. Every map which was made by us, we were thinking, what is the story behind?
Yeah.
Exactly because of this, actually, this helped us a lot. And I remember we used to, let's say, check almost every map with Nelson, Brian, and other artists also, of course. And people and actually commenting, what is the story behind this map? Is this believable? Is this real? I mean, did we see this in real life and stuff like so? And this is actually really helpful. Also, if you want to make the map, let's say, not only believable, but interesting.
Yep.
It's the easiest way.
Interesting is a good thing to aim for, because realistic is not always interesting.
Yeah, sadly, it's not always interesting. Yeah, exactly.
And the underground sectors are a very good example of that. We had some questions that I want to answer. Why is grass an object and not bound to the texture, as in Stranded, Alien Dawn? That's from Chappie. Chappie is a returning modder from some of our other games. For
simply Alien Dawn, one map. It's 16 square meters, and here we have 160 maps, which all of them make 17 square kilometers. Kilometers, yes. This means that, for example, on Stranded Alien Dawn, you have, let's say, I don't know, 500,000 objects, and if you have to render every single grass, that would be problematic.
The camera is much closer to the units in this game. Like, you can run it really close in Stranded, but the normal map the normal distance of the camera that you have is higher. And at some point, I think we had that discussion that Asen just loaded up Stranded, and there's a debug that just shows you how many polygons are on screen right now. It almost broke the game. So that needed to be a lot more optimized in a way.
Yes.
Hope
just a bigger map, which means more objects, which means in general lots of problems with the performance, and everything has a limit, sadly.
Another question from Physics Cat. Oh, that's another question I had. Yep, about spawn locations. I noticed that in the late game I had a lot of mercs, 20 mercs. It was problematic to spawn everyone in. Did you consider having like a limit of mercs that can go in at a time or something like that? I don't think we had a limit of mercs that can enter a map. We really thought that the maximum amount of mercs people would hire would depend on the squads, but people kept hiring more and more mercs. So at some point, probably people did more than we expected.
For example, let's say that way. For example, this map, it has only exit markers, which means actually that you can enter to that map, and there is no limit of the spawnings of the deployment space. Sorry. So actually, if you, for example, because this map is an open map, let's say, there are not many obstacles. Basically, if you start here and you decide, let's say, to deploy here on the east, the whole line of the map, the whole border of the map is free to deploy. Of course, if you make a closed map, like, for example, the bunker, yes, you have an issue there.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I don't think we thought about 20 mercs deploying. Guys, what are you doing? I mean,
that's not a squad.
An invasion. That's an invasion. It's not a squad. It's an invasion. But yeah.
Wait a second. So there's a question from Coordinor. Can you show something about AI named NPCs and AI patrol paths? I think that we should. That's in my garden. We should invite Momchi to tell you a little bit more about the actual encounter design and how you can use that in those editors. Momshi, if you're watching, we'll talk about that. And because that's a big topic. That's something that probably is not for this specific episode. And we'd love to delve into that. And I am going to say this now, we are not going to talk about ambient life. Ever.
Ever. Ambient life here, no. This is a really painful topic. So let us pass through it and continue.
Like
some other questions which are not connected to ambient life.
Point and spotlights is something that you wanted to explain, and I think it's very important for the maps.
Okay, if you decide to, let's say, you guys are brave enough to finish a map by yourself, which I will admire because it takes time, to be honest, and you reach the point that you actually want to, let's say, you want to make also the stealth to work, you need to place lights. So there are different types of lights basically. Here some of the lights are attached to objects. For example, the jungle lantern. So usually there are attaches here in the properties, which are made by Nelson. Thank you, Nelson, for those lovely attaches which are helping us a lot. Huh? Okay, it's not open. I got scared. It's there. It's there. Okay, we had auto attaches which are different types of attaches here. So, for example, strong, soft, etc., etc. For example, we choose. This is also important, by the way, for the performance. If something is set to essential, it will always appear on the map. If some of you reach that moment to, let's say, decide that performance is very important and heavy, this is something which is important to choose one essential for the lights. Anyway, this, for example, this light, now we don't see it basically because I forced it in the wrong way. I'm sorry for it, but let's say that way. Usually there are a few types of lights. We have two types of lights, point light and spotlight. Point light, I'm sorry for the light, I will change the color. Let's make it more natural one. Oh, very natural. Well, high intensity. We'll fix
no, I'm looking at something more scary here that I'll get to in a second.
Yeah. Anyway, so usually there are two types of lights: point light and spotlight. The point light is actually made by 6 spotlights because one is cone and the other thing is actually. Why don't we see that?
Oh, there was a preview too.
Yeah, but we don't see it for some reason. I don't know why. I apologize for this. Yeah, we see the radius. It's not working.
Well, you can see it on the bottom.
Yeah, on the bottom you see it, but let's say that way. I put it under the tree. If you see, actually it's going also, the light is going up, which means actually 1 point light is made by 6 spotlights, and this will be very heavy if you decide to put lights on your maps. Try to use spotlights, not point lights, because point lights are 6 spotlights.
They're expensive.
They're expensive. This is like a sphere, and the other ones are like cone. So basically you have one here, one looking up, here, here, here. All the directions you can think of on 90 degrees. So basically, if you decide to do this, guys, this is very, very heavy. Use it wisely. And yeah, be careful also with the cast shadows and detail shadows.
Yeah, actually they're telling me that they're reminding me, because I already knew that the Chappie already had a map editor mod in the workshop.
Oh. Yeah,
feel free to check that out. It's available still. Disclaimer, it might break when we ship the actual modding tools with 1.50. But yeah, give it a shot.
Try it, by the way. Yeah.
Tanks in Jagged Alliance. We can't stop you from putting other assets in the game. Probably some of you will try to make tanks. The game was not optimized for tanks and for objects. I don't know how deep in this rabbit hole you want to go, animating them and stuff like that. But if that's what floats your boat, sure, try it out. It's going to be hard to add more objects on the map when you have tanks that are probably going to be 6 voxels at least. But
important is how heavy
who knows?
how many verticals it has, vertices it has, and stuff like so. The asset itself. This is more important because actually, when you have many objects gathered on one place, this place will be very heavy, and this is one of the things actually you have to keep in mind also.
Spineduke, you have a point. Can't use crocodile enemy time to implement with other big enemies like vehicles. Here's the thing about crocodiles. They can't climb. So verticality goes out the window. Like, that was something that we tried to tackle, and it's like not happening. So, yeah, you can, but it has limitations. It doesn't work with all other systems.
Yeah. Basically, only monks can climb.
Yes, and hyenas, I think. Hyenas also can jump. Not too tall, but they can still think. I think they can jump.
Slabs, yeah.
Let's see. Are we missing something? You want to show them room creation tool or stuff like that?
Room creation tool. Well, this is another rabbit hole there, guys. Let me see if I remember I remember the shortcut. Good job, me. By the way, we're like pioneers here because everything is basically with shortcuts. So, and we ask for the shortcuts, by the way, because it's much easy to, let's say, use a shortcut than to constantly click everywhere in menus. This is much slower. One of the reasons we actually managed to do things on time because we use many shortcuts. Anyway, Control Shift and N is to open the creation room. The room creation. If you want not to continue to be able to, let's say, to work with the rooms, you need to click escape to exit them. So actually, if you select a room, you see it's showing you north, east, west, south. This is important because actually when you open a room, you have many options.
Spineduke is actually ahead of Physics Cat. Can you see stuff about detailing rooms and whatnot? And yes, that's something that we have here. There is an option.
Of rooms.
Yes, I'm not sure whether we'll be able to ship that for 1.50, but it is in the engine.
Let's say that way, guys, we have such kind of stuff, but we used it only for colonial types of buildings. Because the colonial type of buildings, if you want to make a column, it's, let's say, separated on 5 pieces, and you don't want to constantly, let's say, assemble piece by piece. That's why we use this there. Basically, the other types, for example, this room here, it's made by hand, literally. I mean, of course, we have tools which help us to add windows and stuff.
Yeah, but if you want a detail like this...
Yeah, if you want a good detail, usually it's not like just to click 5 buttons and you have it. I mean, sadly, it's not
this is probably
like so.
very useful for the beginning stage and getting some fundamentals there. But if you want to raise the bar in terms of the details, it requires polish. It's like we mentioned with a lot of stuff. Yeah, you can buy assets from a store and put them in game, and they'll look good. But at some point, if you have 50 assets, you have to equalize like the levels of detail, the style, and everything, and that still requires work. So yeah, that's probably something Archimedes is very well aware of.
Yeah.
Cordonor has a question. So NPC creation, loadout, hit points is not directly done by the map designer, but someone else. Yes, that's done by the combat game designer, who's Momchi. He does what I think we call archetypes for the enemies. That's what kind of weapons they use, what kind of behavior they have, and so on. And the level designers place them around the maps. And how they interact with
the we are, let's say, environmental architects. I mean, when you make a map, it's of course connected to what battle will be there, what's important, and what story will be there. But otherwise, everything else connected with the battle, where you place defender markers, where you have some intels and stuff like so, are made by the combat designers, not by the level designers. It's a bit mixed. Specifically in heavy mode, it's a bit different because, let's say that way, if we had to do also those stuff, we wouldn't finish on time because it's just a huge amount of work.
Well, that's the plus of being a around 70-ish people studio and not like a 700 people studio, because we can still have the flexibility of working together for getting the actual final products through a lot of eyes and through a lot of set of hands before it goes out.
Yeah.
Spine Duke, yeah, we already answered that. You'll be able to probably script some AI behaviors. Are we going to? I don't remember. Probably we'll have that too.
Ask us in.
No, wait. Oh, I need to remember that before I promise something that we're not going to ship. But yes.
Promise that you answer this question next time.
Yes,
just to be sure,
yes.
so
Please give me that week so I can
it.
actually be sure that I'm answering correctly.
Entity viewer, I'm not sure. Art sets, they should be able to, since they are able to import assets. They should be able to.
Yeah, because
otherwise, you won't be able to, let's say, to put it properly and set the proper class in the game. So you should be.
I think we. Yeah.
I didn't try, but I think you should be, because otherwise it won't work. I mean, you have to set class and behavior.
If you actually export an asset into the game, you need to be able to set all of the variables so that you can place
materials. Also, by the way, keep in mind that materials have health. So, for example, concrete is more tough.
Penetration stats.
Health, I mean, materials have health, so those who actually are interested in adding more assets in the game, good luck, guys. You have also many stuff to think about it, so yeah.
And Archimedes, that was the point of going a little bit more detailed into the editors so that we can actually put the recording up and have it as a sort of tutorial. So that, when you guys get access to this, you can have a jump-off point that's not like from zero.
Yeah, there are many tools for snapping. For example, down here you have types of snapping. You can do it manual types of snapping. You can turn it on and off. This is with X. Oops, I'm really good at this. Yeah, I started with X. You can actually stick to terrain, stick to walls, stuff like so, which is easier, for example, to, let's say, decorate stuff. We have also copy tools. You can draw terrain if you're very interested. You can also use different types of alphas here and masks. There are basically many options here.
Let's hope we didn't say something that's not going to go into that.
No, I mean, definitely for the snapping and the terrain, I think they have to be able to do. I mean, those are basic stuff.
All right. Is this series going to continue with different things like scripting, fights, quests, sounds? So what's next week is we will talk with Nelson, who is going to give us more of the art direction for Jagged Alliance. What were the fundamentals that went into making all of these maps? Like you saw the mood boards, what was picked out. He was the one who did the lighting models. We're also going to go into the art editors. For instance, an asset that's exported into the game. Like colorization and stuff like that.
Would you answer the question before?
I did.
Which we had.
All right. Yeah.
Well, art assets, entity view.
Yes.
Connected.
Yes.
So yeah.
So we will go over those and it's gonna be fun. We plan on preparing you guys a little bit in advance for 1.50. That's gonna have the tools so that first of all we don't talk about it after we launch it because then you guys probably know more about it than us. But now we can actually prepare you in advance. So that's the plan here. All right, you want to wrap up?
Yeah.
I think we went through a very good chunk of all of the map editing.
It was a really small piece, by the way.
I know.
But this is the basics. Yeah, this is the basics. So yeah.
Yes. So after this, expect Curse Builds episode 3 with Pavel G and Dinko, who are going to continue the ones that they couldn't fit into last week's episode. So stick around for that one, and it's coming right after this break.
Thank you. Bye.